Okay, so this is the Unit 7 final review, so I'm just going to pick a couple problems to do here. So let's take a look at question number 3. So this is the Unit 7 part of the final review. So in order to find the center and the radius, I need to rearrange this. So I'm going to put the x squared together with the 8x. And I know I need to complete the square, so I'm just going to put a little blank here. And then I'm going to group my y squared and 6y together. And then again, I know I need to complete the square, so I'm going to put a blank there. And then this is just a constant, so I'm going to add it over to the other side. So that'll be a 3. And then I'm going to end up adding 2 numbers over here, so I'm going to put 2 blanks there as well. So I know I'm going to end up completing the square, so I know I'm going to have those grouped. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so in order to complete the square for the x terms, this will be x, I want to take half of 8, so half of 8 is positive 4. And then I'm going to square it, and that's going to find me the number that I put here. So that will give me 16. So I want to add 16 to that side, so I'm also going to add 16 to this side as well. And then for the y term, I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to take half of negative 6, so that's negative 3, and then square that, and that will give me 9. And so I'm going to add 9 to the left, and then also to the right. And then go ahead and combine or add up the numbers. So I'm going to do 3 plus 16 plus 9. So that's 28. And so then for my center is going to be opposite on both, so alphabetical order, so negative 4 and positive 3. And then my radius is just going to be the square root of 28. So square root of 28. And I can simplify that a little bit. So that's 4 times 7. Square root of 4 is 2, and then I don't know the root of 7, so it'll be 2 root 7. Okay. So for question number 5, so we want to find the equation of the circle. So really we're just going backwards, right? So we're using kind of like this format up here. And so let me write that out. And so I want to go ahead and put, so this is my h and my k, so this will be x, and then minus 4. And then y minus a negative 1, so that'll actually go plus. And then I want to square my radius, so I'm going to do 3 squared, so 3 times 3, which is 9. Okay. And then let's take a look at number 8. So I want to put this into descriptive form, so I'm going to have to complete the square on this. So in order to do that, I'm going to subtract 10. And I'm going to put blanks in there because I know I need to complete the square. So I'm going to do this side over here first though, right? So I'm doing the squared side, so this is the side that will group out because it's squared, so this will be y. So I'm going to take half of negative 12, and then negative 6 times negative 6 is 36, so I'm going to add 36 to both sides. And then 36 minus 10 is 26. So for the vertex, so my vertex will be negative 26, positive 6, right, alphabetical order, and then opposite in both. And this is an x equals graph, so that means it's either going to point left or point right. And then the stretch is positive 1, so that means it's going to point to the right. So we'll say right. And then it's asking how many times does the graph intersect the x-axis. So I'm going to just do a little sketch here just to get an idea. So I know that it's going to be at negative 26, 6, so here's my vertex here, and then it's going to point to the right. And so I want to know how many times it will cross the x-axis, and at most it will be just once. Okay. All right, and then let's take a look at another one. So we'll do number 11 next. So I want to get the non-squared by itself, so I want to get this part by itself, so I need to get rid of the negative 8, so I'm going to divide by negative 8. And then there's an implied one here, so this will be negative 1/8 now, right? And then y plus 2 squared. So I want to find my vertex, so my vertex will be x before y, and then opposite on both. And then I need to find my focal distance and focus and directrix and do all of that stuff. So to do that, I want to set 4c equal to the denominator. So the denominator of 8, so divide by 4. So c equals 2. So then this is an x equals graph, so it's going to go left or right, and then because it's negative, it's going to point left. So I want to draw a reminder, so I'm going to draw my reminder to point it left. So my vertex is at 4, negative 2. C is equal to 2, so I'm going to go left 2, and that will be my focus, and then I'm going to go right 2, and that will be my directrix. So let me draw in my dotted line there. And then my focal width is a total width of 8, so I need to go a total width of 8 on my focus, so that means I'm going to go up 4 and down 4. So then my vertex was at 4, negative 2. And then my focus is here, so that was at 2, negative 2. My directrix is here, so I say what axis it's crossing, so it's crossing the x-axis because it's a line. And then at 6, so x equals 6. Okay. All right, and then let's take a look at number 13. So for here, I'm going to use the reminder that they're giving me. So we know the distance from P to F has to equal the distance from P to D. And so P is just the random point on the graph, so that would be xy. My focus was 0, negative 6. And so again, P, so my random point xy, and then the directrix, so the y value is 6, and I don't know the x, or the x can be anything, right? So if the x can be anything, we just use x. And then I'm using that square root formula above, so we're going to do square root. And then we subtract the x's, and then subtract the y's. And then do the same to the other side. So this double negative is going to turn to a positive. So then I want to square both sides. And then x minus 0 is just x, so that'll be x squared. So the root and the square cancel. And then x minus x is just 0, so that's going to cancel to 0. And the root and the square cancel. And then we want to distribute if there's a reason to distribute. So in this case, I do want to distribute because then my y's will cancel and reduce, so I'm going to distribute both of the y's here. So the y will multiply to the y and the 6, so this multiplies to both over here. And then multiply the 6 to both of those. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side as well. So I'm going to multiply the y's to both of those. And then the negative 6 to both of those. And then I'm going to combine like terms, so I'm going to move down to the space below. And then combine like terms. And so now to finish this up, so I want to subtract y squared from both sides, and then I want to minus 12y, and minus the 36. So all of this will go to 0. That will, and this will, but not that. So when I add that, that gives me negative 24y. And then we want to isolate the non-squared term, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 24. And so y would equal negative 1 over 24, and then x squared. Okay, and let's do one more here. So let's take a look at number 17. So to do 17, want to put this in the right format. So the minus 2 does not belong to the x because it's not grouped with the x, so I'm going to add it over to the y. So then my vertex is going to be alphabetical order x before y, so that would be 0 and then negative 2. And then I want to find my value for c, so I'm going to do 4c equals the denominator of 12, and then solve for that, so I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So c is equal to 3. And then I'm going to look to see which way to graph it. So it's a y equals graph, so that's either up or down, and then the stretch is positive, so that means it's going to be up. So I'm going to do a little reminder here. So my vertex is at 0, negative 2. And then I have a c value of 3 and it's going up, so I'm going to go up 3. That will give me my focus. And then down 3, and then that gives me my directrix. And then I want a total distance of 12 for my focal chord, so total distance of 12. So then I'm going to go 6 left, 6 right. And so my vertex was at 0, negative 2. My focus is here, and that's at 0, 1. My directrix is crossing the y-axis, and it is crossing at negative 5. And then my focal chord endpoints are these guys here. So this one was at, that's right, I went over 6, and then up 1, and then left 6, and up 1. Okay, and that's it for the Unit 7 review.